What if I told you that sometimes the most unexpected love stories begin at funerals? Yeah, that's the story behind Colombia's hidden gem, the Firefly, La Luciérnaga, where two women find each other in the aftermath of devastating loss. When Lucia's brother dies in a car crash on his wedding day, she meets the woman who was about to become his wife. Their shared grief transforms into something neither of them expected, a passionate connection that challenges everything they thought they knew about themselves. Ready to discover the sapphic love story that proves sometimes endings are just disguised beginnings? Let's find out. So our story starts with a woman named Lucia, and her world gets totally flipped upside down when she gets this awful phone call. Her brother Andres, who she hadn't really talked to in forever, died in a car crash. And get this, it happened on what was supposed to be his wedding day. Talk about tragic timing. The siblings had this whole complicated history with lots of family drama that never got resolved. Now, poor Lucia's stuck with all these mixed up feelings, grief, regret, the whole emotional package. She spends the night tossing and turning with memories of her brother haunting her. Next day, Lucia drags herself to the funeral home. God, seeing your sibling in a coffin. That's rough. Like, really rough. She's standing there, tears streaming down her face, thinking about all the conversations they never had and how now they never will. His fiancée's mum was there too, but it is obviously a total wreck. She gives Lucia some of Andres's stuff, his favorite gloves and some other stuff. You know, those little things that suddenly mean everything when someone's gone? So anyway, at the funeral home, Lucia finally hears about this Mariana person, her brother's fiancée. Can you believe Lucia never even met the woman her brother was going to marry? One of Andres's buddies comes up to Lucia and hands her a key to her brother's apartment. He's like, maybe you'll find some peace there, or whatever. Lucia's holding this key, and it feels super heavy, not just physically, but emotionally. She's not sure if she's ready to dive into all that yet. The burial day comes, and it's just intense. Everyone's crying, everything's dark and sad. Halfway through, Lucia starts feeling like she can't breathe. The walls are closing in, and she just bolts. Like literally runs away from the ceremony. Can't really blame her though. Grief does weird things to people. This whole messy, heartbreaking situation ends up being the thing that pushes Lucia towards some major self-discovery. Through getting to know Mariana and digging into her brother's life, she starts figuring out her own complicated feelings. And here's the kicker. This shared grief thing, it leads her down a path she never saw coming. So Lucia's standing outside her dead brother's apartment, clutching this key like it's some kind of emotional time bomb. Her heart's pounding like crazy while she's trying to work up the courage to go in. When she finally does, it hits her. That smell of his cologne mixed with coffee. Man, isn't it weird how smells can just transport you back in time? The place is basically a museum of Andres's life. Lucia's wandering around, touching his things, probably thinking about all those times they argued about their favorite authors or whatever. Then she spots his jacket. You know, in that casual way people leave things when they think they'll be back soon. She grabs it and buries her face in it, breathing in what's left of her brother. Super emotional moment, right there. But then, plot twist. There's this noise from somewhere in the apartment. Lucia freaks out like any normal person would. She's grabbing a kitchen knife, hands shaking, heart racing, thinking she's about to face some intruder. She's creeping down the hallway, probably imaging the worst. It's Mariana, her brother's fiancée, curled up on the bed looking absolutely devastated. Poor woman's clutching a pillow like it's the only thing keeping her from falling apart completely. When Mariana opens her eyes, she's so out of it, she actually thinks Lucia is Andres for a second. Talk about heartbreaking. Lucia drops the knife, thank God, and goes over to comfort her. These two women who've never met before are suddenly hugging and crying together. It's like they're total strangers, but also weirdly connected through this guy they both loved. So they end up staying at Andres's place together, which is kinda unusual but also makes perfect sense. They're surrounded by his stuff, almost like they're trying to keep him alive through his belongings. They spend days just talking about him, all his little quirks, the sound of his laugh, his dreams for the future, that kind of stuff. Lucia opens up about feeling guilty for not talking to her brother for so long, and Mariana's like, actually, he talked about you all the time. He really wanted to fix things between you two. Nothing like finding out someone wanted to reconcile after it's too late. These conversations become their therapy sessions. They're bonding over their shared love for this guy who's gone too soon, and slowly they start doing normal stuff together, like grocery shopping. It's those little moments that keep them going. Then one night, Lucia invites Mariana to dinner with her and her boyfriend Adrian. Big mistake. Adrian's one of those finance bros who can't shut up about the stock market and investment opportunities. Like, read the room, dude. Someone just died. And then he makes this super tacky comment about Mariana's mum's money. Lucia's cringing so hard she probably pulled a muscle. After this disaster of a dinner, they're in the restroom when Mariana turns to Lucia and drops this truth bomb. You deserve more than this. Life's too short to spend it with someone who doesn't see you. Whoa, that hit Lucia like a ton of bricks. She can't even respond because deep down, she knows Mariana's right. When they drop Mariana off, Lucia feels this weird emptiness, like she'd rather stay with Mariana than go home with Adrian. It's one of those moments where your life suddenly shifts, you know? Like, Lucia went to her brother's apartment looking for closure, but instead she found this person who's making her question everything. Her relationship, her identity, maybe even her sexuality. That's the thing about grief. It cracks you open and sometimes lets in light from places you never expected. And the wild part is, none of this would have happened if her brother hadn't died. It's like, sometimes the most devastating losses lead to the most unexpected discoveries. Lucia's lying there, realizing that while she's mourning her brother, she's also waking up to parts of herself she never fully explored before. So now she's caught between the comfort of her familiar but empty relationship with Adrian and this new, scary, but potentially life-changing connection with Mariana. It's messy and complicated and beautiful all at once, just like real life, right? So, after they drop Mariana off, Lucia's feeling this weird emptiness that she can't shake. The apartment feels like... You know when you walk into a room and something important is missing, but you can't quite put your finger on it? That's how it feels to her. And get this, she can't sleep, so she actually calls Mariana in the middle of the night. Like, who does that unless they're feeling something major? Mariana picks up right away, which tells you she's probably lying there thinking about Lucia too. They end up talking for hours, not just about Andres anymore, but about everything. It's one of those middle-of-the-night phone calls where you say things you'd never admit in daylight. Their friendship starts getting super intense after that. Lucia, who's usually pretty closed off, starts sharing all these personal stories with Mariana. Childhood memories, her biggest fears, regrets, the whole emotional package. And Mariana just listens. Really listens, you know? Not the fake listening, where someone's just waiting for their turn to talk. But Lucia's still carrying around this massive guilt about not patching things up with her brother before he died. So Mariana comes up with this idea for Lucia to write Andres a letter. Like, pour out everything she never got to say to him. Lucia's hesitant at first. Wouldn't you be? But she gives it a shot. She sits down and just unleashes everything onto the page. All the unsaid words, the apologies, the I love yous, that never made it past her lips. She's crying so hard that the ink is smudging. but she keeps writing. When she's done, they do this ritual thing where they burn the letter, watching the smoke carry her words up into the sky. Super symbolic, right? But it actually works. Lucia feels lighter somehow. The next day, still on this emotional journey, Lucia heads to church to talk to a priest. He's like, "You should visit your brother's grave," which is honestly pretty solid advice. Mariana offers to go with her because apparently these two can't be apart for more than 5 minutes now. At the cemetery, Lucia's hit with this fresh wave of grief. It's like seeing the grave makes it real all over again. Mariana hangs back, giving Lucia some space. She's probably not ready to face her own grief yet, which is totally understandable. After the cemetery, Lucia meets up with Adrian, her husband. Remember him? The finance bro who couldn't read the room? Yeah, him. They end up fighting because he's all excited about some business trip to New York and completely clueless about what Lucia's going through. She's basically begging him to stay and he's like, "Sorry, gotta go make money." Classic Adrian. But here's the twist. After he leaves, and Lucia's feeling weirdly relieved about it, she finds this letter he left. He's booked her a stay at her favorite retreat and suggested she take Mariana with her. I mean, talk about clueless. This guy is literally pushing his wife into another woman's arms and has no idea. So Lucia's like, "Hey Mariana, want to go on a romantic getaway that my oblivious husband planned for us?" And Mariana's all, "Sure." They pack their bags and head off to this gorgeous retreat in the middle of nowhere. And that's where things start getting interesting. They're exploring together, eating meals together, having these deep conversations under the stars. The whole time, there's this electricity between them that's getting harder and harder to ignore. It's like they're in this bubble away from reality, where they can just be themselves without all the baggage. And in that space, the line between being friends and being something more starts getting super blurry. Every look, every accidental touch, every shared laugh is just building this tension between them. And the crazy part is, neither of them planned for this to happen. They were just two people connected by grief, trying to help each other through it. But sometimes, when you're vulnerable with someone, when you let them see all your broken pieces, that creates a bond that's different from anything else. So, Lucia and Mariana finally arrive at this gorgeous retreat that clueless Adrian booked for them. The place is absolutely stunning, totally peaceful and quiet, which is exactly what they needed after all the emotional chaos they've been dealing with. Then, as it's getting super late, Lucia gets this wild idea to go check out the pool. It's midnight, the moon's reflecting off the water, and the whole scene is straight out of some romantic movie. Without overthinking it, which is so not like Lucia, they both jump into the freezing cold water. Mariana's like, "Holy crap, this is freezing," and tries to get out. But then, major moment alert, Lucia pulls her back and kisses her. Talk about a plot twist. There's this split second where Mariana's totally surprised, but then she's kissing Lucia back, and suddenly the cold water doesn't matter anymore. That night gets intense. They cross that line from friendship into something way more physical. It's this perfect mix of passion and tenderness, like they're discovering parts of each other they never knew existed, and maybe parts of themselves too, you know? But then, morning comes, and reality crashes in. They're both freaking out a little, trying to process what just happened. There's this awkward silence hanging between them that neither one knows how to break. Mariana suggests going shopping, probably just to do something normal and avoid talking about the elephant in the room. While they're browsing through the local markets, Lucia's totally in her head, barely noticing what she's looking at. She's probably thinking, what does this mean? Am I gay? What about Adrian? What happens when we go back to real life? All those questions nobody can answer for her. That night, back at the hotel, Mariana finally breaks the silence. She apologizes for what happened, probably thinking Lucia regrets it. But then Lucia drops this bomb. I don't regret it. At all. She actually treasured those moments with Mariana. Can you imagine how scary it must be to admit that? But also how freeing. That confession changes everything. The tension dissolves, and they end up in each other's arms again. It's like once they've acknowledged their feelings, there's no going back to pretending. The next morning, though, things take another turn. Lucia wakes up to the sound of Mariana being sick in the bathroom. At first, she thinks it's just food poisoning from some sketchy market food. But as Mariana keeps feeling awful, Lucia starts worrying that something more serious might be going on. Spoiler alert, it probably is. When they finally head back home, Lucia's world has been completely flipped upside down. What she feels for Mariana isn't just some vacation fling. It's real, and it's powerful, and it's not going away. But then there's Adrian, her husband, who she's built a whole life with. In this moment of total confusion, she calls Adrian to thank him for the retreat. Oh, the irony, and suggests they meet up when he gets back. She's standing at this massive crossroads, the safe, familiar path with Adrian that society expects her to take, or this new, scary, but potentially more authentic path with Mariana. It's like when you're on a hiking trail and suddenly realize you've been following the wrong map the whole time. Do you keep going anyway because it's what you planned? Or do you take the scary, unmarked path that somehow feels right? That's where Lucia is now, trying to figure out if she has the courage to choose the path that feels true to her heart, even if it means blowing up her entire life. And through all of this, there's still the lingering question of what's going on with Mariana's health. It's like, just when Lucia thinks she might have found something real, there's this shadow hanging over everything. Life's messy like that, right? Nothing's ever simple, especially when it comes to love and figuring out who you really are. So, Lucia's been doing some serious soul-searching after that retreat with Mariana. She's finally admitting to herself what we all saw coming. Her marriage to Adrian is emptier than a movie theatre showing Cats on opening night. What she's found with Mariana is the real deal, something deeper than she ever had with her husband. Lucia's gathering up her courage like someone about to jump off a high dive. She knows this conversation with Adrian is going to be rough, but she's made up her mind. When Adrian finally gets back from his business trip, they end up sitting on their living room floor. Kind of symbolic, right? Like they're back at the foundation of their relationship. She just lays it all out there. Hey, so I'm in love with my dead brother's fiancé, and I want a divorce. Okay, maybe not in those exact words, but you get the picture. And Adrian? He actually listens. Like really listens. No drama, no throwing things, no. But what about our tax benefits? He just takes it in and accepts that they've grown apart. Talk about a mature breakup. I mean, most people's exes key their cars or blast Taylor Swift at 3 a.m. outside their window. Adrian's just like, cool, I get it. You found true love with someone else. Happens to the best of us. Mariana's feeling weird and decides to take a pregnancy test. And boom, the test is positive. She's pregnant with Andres's baby. Talk about a curveball, right? This whole time, she's been carrying a piece of him with her. It's like the universe being like, you thought this story was complicated enough. Hold my beer. Mariana's freaking out naturally. She finds Lucia, who's probably working on her next great novel or something. Mariana's voice is shaking as she drops this bombshell news. And Lucia, she doesn't miss a beat. Her face lights up like a Christmas tree, and she does this super sweet thing where she kisses Mariana's belly before hugging her. They're both crying happy tears, making plans for the future. It's kind of beautiful when you think about it. They came together because they both loved Andres, and now they're going to raise his child together. It's like their relationship has come full circle. They found a way to keep Andres's memory alive, while also building something new and beautiful between them. So there they are. Two women who met because of tragedy, fell in love unexpectedly, and now are about to become parents to the child of the man who connected them in the first place. It's messy and complicated and beautiful all at once. And isn't that just what life is? If you love sapphic stories that celebrate love in all its forms, make sure to subscribe to Sapphic Nook. We break down the best lesbian movies and TV shows, so you never miss a great story. See you in the next one.